Hey guys, Political Junkie 2414 here, and welcome back to my next video. So, last night we had the first presidential debate of the 2024 election cycle between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And to put it lightly, it wasn't a good night for Joe Biden. I don't think it was a good night for Donald Trump either. I think he miscalculated at several moments. But Joe Biden certainly did not help his campaign in any way, shape, or form. And so, over the last 12 to 15 hours, we've seen Democrats panicking about Biden's ability to defeat Trump in the election. Um, Many Republicans in the House, including Speaker Mike Johnson, have called on have called on Biden's cabinet to invoke the 25th Amendment, which would, in effect, put Kamala Harris in charge of the White House, and Biden would step down from being president. If that sounds familiar, it's because a similar measure was floated after Donald Trump, or for Donald Trump after the January 6th riots. And so I'm just gonna try to take this, that it's been a good 12 hours since I've seen the debate, actually longer. Um, but I saw it last night, and the second that Biden started talking, I could tell that I was wrong. He was not going to do as well as I expected. And it's not that I blame myself. I'm not the only one that overestimated Biden, because there was a case to be made that leading up to the debate, I made the analogy of Biden and Trump's preparation tactics kind of being like a parallel to tortoise and the hare. Um, but the irony of it is Biden didn't do very well at all, despite all of that time, all that preparation. In fact, I think that he was over-prepared. Apparently, he had a cold, and so his voice was very um, groggy, he was having a hard time paying attention. There were times when it looked like he was zoning out, and had his mouth open while Trump was talking, and he looked away. At certain times, he looked a little weird while looking at Trump, which I think that was, you know, a more appropriate way to look at him because Trump, throughout the debate, routinely lied and spewed so many false truths and did not do anything to help himself. Um, but Biden just really did not do anything to help to reassure Democrats about his age. Of course, we all know that he's old. We all know that he is not the Joe Biden that we saw 4 years ago. When even then there was serious concern about his age. Um, but it has gotten exponentially worse. Now, what I will say is that it's the first debate. It's early. There's going to be another debate scheduled in September. Um, we don't know if that's going to happen. Trump might not want to do it because he thinks this was a good night for him, and objectively speaking, I would say it is, but not because of what he did. Um, it was more so the circumstances with Biden, I think, that handed him the victory. Um, and presidential debates and just political debates in general do not necessarily translate to the winner of the debate winning the White House. Back in 2020, the first debate was not really. I, at the time, and for a long time, kind of believed that Trump won because he was interrupting Biden so much. Yes, he kind of looked like a jerk in doing it. I mean, he was a jerk to do it. He was against the rules, and which is why this debate was heavily more controlled. Um, but I think that Biden's inability to get a word in was a problem for him that first debate. But he was overall able, I think, as the night went on for Biden last night, he did better. Trump started to stop answering questions. There was a shift when Trump was asked the question about Ukraine, and I noticed that he had a really hard time. He has practiced a lot of self-restraint in the first half, I will say that, especially when Biden tried to bait him. But in the second half, he really just could not let things go, and he would go on and on and on. about how Biden is a terrible president and not answering the questions. He um, gave a horrible answer, I think, um, on the January 6th question, where he basically expressed no remorse for the Capitol riot, which, whether you're, I guess, from an objective standpoint, what I'm trying to say is for voters, for moderate voters, some of whom even voted for Trump in 2020, that is a major issue with supporting Trump, is that they do not like what happened on January 6th, and a lot of them hold him responsible, and a lot of them, that was a deal breaker for them this time, for this election, and I think it still will be. So he did not do himself any favors, but Biden even failed to answer or give like strong answers on issues like abortion, on issues like he did well on foreign policy. I think he did well on Russia, and Ukraine and the whole and NATO. I think that was a good moment for him, and I think he did a good job in that moment where he went after Trump for calling or for previously calling his son and fellow veterans alike suckers. Um, and where he's like, I'm not a sucker. He wasn't a sucker. You're a sucker. I think that was a good moment. I think that he kind of displayed energy there. Um, but he really, throughout this entire debate, I understand that he had a cold. I understand that that impeded his ability to speak, and he's already got a stutter, so he already has a speech impediment. Um, and but I expected more of the Biden from the State of the Union address, and I think and the fact that we didn't get that really was, I think, in part because of his health condition at the time. Um, but I think it was also just of um, the downside. He was overprepared. I think a lot of I watched it on MSNBC last night. I watched some of the newscasters or the commentators uh, giving their thoughts on it afterward, and I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Chris Hayes. It might have been, um, what's her name? It doesn't matter. One of the commentators said that Biden was over. You could tell that he was overprepared. That he had too many thoughts in his head. Um, Trump, surprisingly, without a lot of restraint, did a good job for the first half of staying on track, and towards the end of the first half, he was really starting to avoid answering the questions, and I think that's when the debate kind of where Biden got a bit of an opportunity to make up some ground, and I think he did make up a lot of ground as the night went on. I think those first 10 to 15 minutes were awful. Um, but I think objectively speaking, no one is out here saying that this was a good debate performance for Biden. I really expected this to be something that really changed the dynamic of the race in favor of Biden. Acknowledged that there was a chance that Trump could still win this, but I figured just the whole setup of going into this debate, it really looked like Trump was being his usual self and was going to be more unhinged with him making all those comments about Biden taking performance enhancing drugs and not preparing and taking this debate for granted. And a lot of Republicans were like, oh, he's a natural debater, which I think is true to an extent. And it was certainly reaffirmed last night. But um, Biden, I think, was just exhausted. I think that he was clearly um, not well. And I think the fact that it is this early, is a boon to Democrats because if they can get Biden back on track in these next couple of months, it'll be okay. I think if he does well in the second debate, if it happens, if Trump um if both candidates decide to debate again, I think the debate team is going to look at what didn't work in this debate, and it would go better for Biden. Just I think as the second debate went better for Biden in 2020. But when you look at the reaction from House Democrats, almost no one said that this was really a good debate, or this was a good thing, or a good performance. Even the ones that tried to defend that Biden won this debate, based on the substance, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but optics matter a lot. You see Joyce Beatty saying he shouldn't debate. Sidney Calmadre-Dove saying we didn't really need this debate. This is a rematch. Some Democrats even suggesting they should change the rules of the debate. Um, Sean Casten actually said that didn't look like Biden had done any debate prep, which I don't think was the problem because he was clearly at Camp David for days preparing. So if anything, he was over prepared. And I think some of this was natural. I think some of this was just naturally Biden's age, um, making it harder for him to perform the job and look inspiring. Um, but I think a lot of it was just the optics going in and the prep over preparation. Um, but a lot of Democrats also decided to run from reporters. Um, like Adam Schiff, Dan Goldman, Jared Moskowitz, Marcy Kaptur were literally avoiding questions, probably because they really understand that this was not a good debate tactic and just did not want to have their didn't want to be on the record saying anything about this debate because they know how much of how disappointing it was. Um, there's been a lot of talk about Biden being removed from the ticket and maybe putting up Kamala Harris or something, which I think if anything, I expected that talk to go down after this debate. I figured that this would really display, this was really meant to, um, if anything, get voters to realize, okay, this is a one-on-one race between Biden and Trump. This is the choice. But this didn't do anything to help Democrats be confident in their candidate. And I think the reason why Biden doesn't want to step down from running again is because he has proof. He has evidence that because he's the only one who's beaten Donald Trump in a presidential election before. And I think that he might have been the only one who could have beat him in 2020, but he might not be the only one that can beat him in 2024. I think Kamala Harris would be a more comfortable choice for Democrats, something that I never thought I'd say just 2 years ago. But she is an incredibly underrated candidate. A lot of people have been talking about Gavin Newsom. I don't think Newsom would be a very good candidate. I think if anyone, you'd have to put up Harris, and then you'd figure out your VP choice. I think that would be where Democrats should go. But overall, Donald Trump didn't do anything to help himself in the second half of the debate. He really did just not answer any of the questions, especially after the first commercial break. He really, I think, got a little overconfident because Biden had such a rough start, and then Biden was able to kind of make up his ground just a little bit. But at the end of the day, he still was his performance was still left a lot to be desired. So I don't think I've said everything I wanted to in this video. I'm sure that when I rewatch it, I'm gonna think, oh man, I should have talked about this or that. But overall, um, I think I got my 2 cents in. I just wanted to take this, I didn't want to take a lot of time making a script for this. I just wanted to give my overall thoughts. Um, Probably not a lot different from other people's analysis of this debate. Trump won it. I think that was clear. I expected Biden to win it because I figured Democrats were going to be are being underestimated, and I still believe that. And I still think that there's a good chance of Biden winning a second debate as long as the mistakes from this first performance are corrected, which I have no doubt that if Biden is not removed from the ticket, uh, that there will be. But overall, this is Joe Biden's worst presidential debate performance yet. His worst on his worst televised moment in years, I would say. His State of the Union addresses were better. Any of his 2020, either of his 2020 debates were better. And even after the debate, when he was at when he was with his wife Jill Biden and talking to supporters after they left the debate venue, you could tell Biden had a little bit more energy. So I don't know what happened. I think um, it was really underwhelming for Biden. I'm surprised by the result. Don't think I think it could have been worse. I think if Biden had stayed the way that he was the first at the beginning of the debate, this would have been a disaster. But I think there were moments where, um, you could have called this a draw. So I'd say Trump won this debate by a comfortable margin, not a landslide, but definitely not narrowly either. Biden had a rough start, got a little bit back on track, started talking a little bit more clearly, started articulating himself better, um, stopped like staring off into space as often, and Trump kind of started going down rabbit holes as the night went on. So, uh, yeah, I think I'm kind of talking in circles. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you thought about the debate. Did Biden do better than do you think Biden actually won the debate? I'd be interested to see if anyone says that. But you have a right to your opinion. Do you think I'm underestimating how Trump did? Do you want to add anything that I didn't mention here? Let me know in the comments down below. Um, Let me know, or if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out some of my other content for the 2024 election cycle. And yeah, thank you for all of your support, and I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things politics. See ya.